This tiny island off the coast of Africa looks completely normal at first glance. It's small, remote, and barely noticeable on the map. There's nothing about it that immediately stands out. But what lies around it is far more valuable than the island itself, because this small area is connected to something incredibly valuable. And that's what makes this tiny island worth billions. This island itself isn't what makes it valuable. On its own, it looks like just another small African island. But the real value lies in the waters surrounding it. This region sits in one of Africa's richest oil zones. Huge oil reserves were discovered just offshore. And that's what turned this small island into something extremely valuable. Once oil was discovered, everything about this place began to change. What was once a quiet region suddenly became economically important. Oil exports started generating massive amounts of revenue, and the country quickly became one of Africa's top oil producers. This sudden wealth changed the country's global importance, and that's how this small island became linked to billions of dollars. But it's not just oil. The location of this island also matters. It sits right in the Gulf of Guinea, one of Africa's key coastal regions. This area is close to major shipping routes along the African coast. That makes it an ideal point for exporting oil to global markets. Its coastal position makes access easier compared to inland regions. And that's what makes this small island strategically important. This island isn't just near the resources, it's where the country's capital is located. Malabo, the capital city, sits right here on this island. That means the government operates right next to the country's most valuable resources. This makes managing the oil industry much more direct and efficient. Instead of being far inland, everything is connected through the coast. And that's why this island became the center of everything. But despite all this value, the island doesn't look unusually rich. Most of it still appears quiet and largely unchanged. That's because the wealth isn't really on the island itself. It's actually located far offshore, deep under the ocean. Out at sea, massive oil fields operate far from land. So while the island looks ordinary, its value lies far beyond what you can see. Even with all this wealth, the number of people here is relatively small. Most people are concentrated in just a few urban areas. Beyond that, large parts of the island remain less developed. That's because most of the economic activity happens offshore. So the value of this place isn't reflected in how crowded it looks. And that's what makes this island feel very different from what its value suggests. For a long time, this place remained relatively quiet and unnoticed. Then oil was discovered and things began to shift rapidly. In just a few years, major offshore operations were set up. Production increased quickly, bringing in massive revenue. The country's importance on the global stage rose almost overnight. And in a very short time, everything about this place was completely different. But this island isn't important on its own. The entire region around it matters too. The Gulf of Guinea contains some of Africa's largest offshore oil zones. That turned this coastline into a major energy region. Huge oil tankers regularly move through these waters carrying exports worldwide. Its coastal position also makes exporting resources much easier. And that's why this entire region became strategically important to the world. What makes this place valuable isn't actually on the island itself. Most of the real value lies far offshore beneath the water. Massive offshore oil fields operate far away from the coastline. Some of these operations are located many kilometers out at sea. That's why the island itself can still look surprisingly ordinary, because the true value of this place is hidden far beyond the shore. Before oil was discovered, this country had very little global attention. Then offshore oil reserves completely changed its importance. A small island suddenly became connected to billions of dollars. Its location turned it into the center of the country's oil industry. And over time, that transformed the country's role in the region. And that's how one tiny island became one of the most valuable places in Africa. So at first glance, this island looks small and completely ordinary. But beneath the waters around it lies enormous economic value. Its location connected it directly to one of Africa's richest oil regions. That quickly transformed this quiet place into something strategically important. And today, this tiny island is connected to billions of dollars in offshore resources, which is why this small island became one of the most valuable places in the region.